We get it that you think that this reality is real. And we're not quibbling. We just want you to know that the real reality is the vibrational reality that always precedes the manifestation. And if you can just hear us when we say to you that your emotions are not about your observation of the reality that has already taken shape and form. Your emotions are about the reality that is in the vibrational sphere that you are moving toward. In other words, what you feel is about this vibrational reality and your relationship to it. That was big. Did you get that? We have not said that clearly before. So here, we'll say it again. Your emotions, every one of them, are about this vibrational reality. How you feel is about this vibrational reality and your right now, in the moment, thought process relative to it. So now we'll say it in another strong way. If your life in this body had not caused you to move to a new place vibrationally, and if the larger part of you had not already taken it as the new and improved you and become it, present tense, you would never feel negative emotion. So negative emotion means every single time you've expanded to something that you're disallowing with your current active thought. So think about what that means. If you are paying your bills and feeling discouraged, that discouragement is based upon what you are calling reality. We say, no, that isn't it. That discouragement is not because of your current reality. It's because of your depriving yourself of your vibrational reality. You see, we know as physical beings, you've been using words like faith and hope for a while, a long while. And we want you to understand that what the true accomplishment that a feeling of faith or hope will give you is it causes you to distract yourself from beating the drum of what is. And it puts you in a suspension that allows what is already amassed vibrationally to manifest physically. And if you don't allow that release of resistance, it can't manifest. We get it that you can't look at a situation and really define it differently than it is. There's too much fact, too much evidence, too many others focused upon it and pointing at it in the same way. We get that. But we want you to withdraw your attention from the evidence that is holding you in the evidence. We want you to stop holding yourself in the evidence that is less than you want and allow yourself to flow freely into the vibration, and we promise you the evidence will follow. Everything that you want is in this vortex of creation. Now, we've spoken it vibrationally, which is a little less comfortable for you to hear. Now we're going to break it down and give you the same seminar that we just gave you in physical terms. You can't focus on what you don't want and get what you do want at the same time. It's one or the other. And whatever you're focused upon, you're practicing the vibration of, and it's becoming very vivid in your vibration, and law of attraction is giving you what you think about whether you want it or not. When you think about what you don't want, or even better stated, when you think of less than what you do want, you won't feel as good as you can feel. When you think about what you want, even if it hasn't manifested, you'll feel great. Everything that everyone wants is because you think you will feel better when you get it. And so what we're suggesting is that you feel better even before you get it in terms of manifestation, that you go for the feeling, which is the reason you're asking for it anyway. And when you go for the feeling and accomplish the feeling and maintain the feeling and practice the feeling and get in the vortex and be in the vortex and stay in the vortex and sustain your vibration in the vortex and practice the vibration of the vortex until you are chronically someone who's in the vortex, each and everything that you've ever asked for must come into full manifestation view for you, where everyone you know who is anywhere nearby can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. And then they will say to you, hey, how'd you do that? And you will say, I stopped worrying about the absence of it and started feeling the vibrational presence of it, and I tuned myself to the vibration of it, and then it just showed up. That's how it works. And really, we want to say to you in a really gentle way that it is easier to be in the vortex than not in the vortex, but it doesn't seem that way if you've been practicing a vibration that's been holding you out. But it's much easier, and you know how we know? Because this is who you are. This is the eternal you. This is who you will return to. In other words, this is the main event. This is the big story. You're here in this body creating that which is the non-physical version of you, which is always moving forward. Now hear this. We haven't said this before either. You get the cycle of life that we've been describing. You were non-physical energy, and then you became physical, and then you sifted and sorted, which caused you to launch rockets of desire, and the source energy part of you became it, and it is from that vantage point that you come forth again. So can you hear us when we say clearly to you that things that you're doing as an individual or as a collective consciousness in this life experience are causing the next life experience to get queued up? The world into which the babies are being born was created long before those babies came forth. In other words, that's this continual cycle of life, you see. And the larger part of you is always standing at the furthest advanced, furthest evolved, furthest joyous, expanded state of being. And you all can't stand it unless you're up to speed with that. And yet, those are the wrong words, because you have figured out how to stand it. Because you're willing to put up with discouragement. You're willing to feel diminished. You're willing to feel angry or overwhelmed or fearful. You're willing to feel it. But just know that when you feel fear, that little fit you're throwing is because the larger part of you isn't going there with you. Isn't that good to know? So, all the conversations that we have about everything are about blending these two worlds. In other words, we want you to know that you're non-physical, but we want you to be proud that you're physical. But we want you to know what in the vortex feels like, but we want you to not be mad at yourself for being not in the vortex. We want you to accept that it all meshes together, and that without step one, there couldn't be step 2 or 3. In other words, without being out of the vortex, there would not be the expansion. And if there isn't the expansion, then there isn't life. See how it all fits together? So don't you want to just start making peace with it? Don't you want to make peace with those rascals in your neighborhood rule-making society? Don't you want to make peace with them? Don't you want to bless them for the better world that they are creating with their harassment? Seriously. Don't you want to appreciate the contrast? Because without it, the new idea couldn't be born. And without the new idea, you couldn't continue to be. We couldn't either. And without the new idea, there wouldn't be expansion. And without expansion, we would all cease to be. Don't worry about it. That can't be. But getting it all fit together in your mind, don't you just love contrast? You do when you go to the buffet. When you go to the buffet, you love contrast. You're glad that that president of that committee isn't the only one that got to choose the food. You're glad. You're glad. You're glad that there's variety. And when you see things you don't want, you just don't put them on your plate. At the buffet, you don't have any problem with contrast. You just become a very deliberate, selective sifter. But in this world of thought, you say, oh, that thought hurts me. That observation hurts me. And since I have no ability to focus other than upon what's right in front of me, then we need to destroy that and that and that. And we say, how is it working out?
Not so well.
Not that well.
Not that well.
It is so satisfying to become the deliberate focuser that you were born to be by following the emotions that are within you that will always lead you to the furthest, most expanded place, you see. It's interesting. Human seems to think that as he walks with each other, that in his disapproval of so many things, he will be left with a piece of something that he can approve of. As if I could push hard enough against unwanted things, I could obliterate them, and then in all of the absence of all of the unwanted things, there would be wanted. And we say, it could not be more opposite. It's out of those unwanted things that is born the wanted. Then it's up to you to focus, because you can have it either way for a while. You can have it either way for the time you're in this physical body. You are so free, you can choose bondage. You are so free, you can choose thoughts that feel awful. You are so free, you can be miserable for a while. But when you croak, that's all over. So if you're enjoying, and you're not, the misery that you've found, then make hay while the sun shines, because when you croak, it's all over. Well, this has been a wonderful day. of moving into new places. So let's recap together for just a moment. As you sit here in your physical body, do you claim your physicality more right now or your non-physical beingness? Which feels more like you? And yet here you are in these bodies, clumps sitting individually, flesh, blood, and bone, manifested, having become. Others can see you and hear you and smell you. They can feel you. They can taste you. In other words, with their physical senses, they can observe you. They can catalog you and pigeonhole you. They can define you. They can discover you. They can label you. They can identify you. They can sort of take you in and sum you up and come to a conclusion about you. But can anyone who is not you know you? So the non-physical you, the vibrational you, can observe you in your physical body and doesn't smell you and doesn't see you and doesn't hear you and doesn't taste you and doesn't touch you. But the non-physical you, as it observes the physical you, knows you vibrationally, knows who you were prior to coming into this physical body, knows unequivocally the worthiness and the truth and the power and the love and the meaning of that which you were. But even more than that, that source energy, as it perceives you, knows everything that all that you have lived has caused you to become. And how does that non-physical you know you so completely? It is because it is you so completely. The non-physical you is all that you have become, leaving out discouragement, unworthiness, leaving out uncertainty, insecurity. The non-physical you is the synthesized version of all that you have ever been, and is the culmination of the best that life has helped you to garner. And the non-physical you stands in non-physical beingness, radiating the vibrational signal that is equal to all that you have become incessantly, all day, all night, eternally. And you have emotional feedback or response to that non-physical state of you. That's what your emotions are. In your moment of love, you are up to speed with the fullness of you. In your moment of hate, you're not. In your moment of frisky, you're up to speed. In your moment of love and appreciation and joy and confidence and worthiness, in your moment of adoration of someone, in your moment of compliment, in your moment of expression of the satisfaction of life, you are up to speed with who you are. But in your complaint and in your worry, you are not. If you can accept, because we know it so well, the perfection and expansion and worthiness and love that really is who you are, and you will decide today that your dominant intent is to tune to the full frequency of who you are, to keep messing with the dial and finding the new thought, to do another focus wheel, to lie in your bed and bask a little more determined, to speak less frequently and think and feel more often, to find moments of quiet reflection.